Hey guys, this is ADWCTA. Welcome to the Whispers of the Old Gods Arena Meta Analysis. We're continuing right now with Druid. It's one class left after this, just Priest. We're almost there, and I have gotten exactly 0 videos under 15 minutes when I was supposed to get every one of them under 15 minutes. So we're going to do it this time. 15 minutes under Druid. It's good because there's not much to talk about for the Druid. First, review the Old Gods meta. We've talked so much about it, I don't want to belabor the point anymore. But the only important thing to know here about the Druid is that the hero power, although it is a ping, which is really good, it gets tempo, you have to use it very judiciously if you're going deeper into the late game because you do have a life pool that is not very easily replenished, right? It takes 1 turn, 2 mana, and you hit your opponent's face or something in order to just gain 1 armor. So if in the late game you want to be hitting things with even like 3 attack, it really takes 3 turns to be able to do that once, unless you're digging into your life pool. So the hero power is not really sustainable for the Druid, which means it's not that great if the game goes on too long, and that means it's not that good for a control kind of playstyle, right? Because later on you may really want to ping something that has like 6 attack, and then you're screwed if you're the Druid. On the bright side, it does completely counter Paladin, which is highly useful because they make a dude, you kill the dude. They make the dude, you kill the dude. Very good. Also, the Druid hero power gets screwed a bit because your opponents can taunt more now, and taunting screws over the Druid hero power. So the Druid is already starting off from a pretty unfavorable position entering the meta. And on top of that, LOE comes out, which means you have losses on Raven Idol and Mounted Raptor. 2 pretty good cards that were Druid cards, minus 33% offering rate each, and then Druid cards got nerfed too. Ancient of Lore, nerfed, down from like a ridiculously amazing card, like we had it at like, I don't know, a 90 or 100 or I don't know, just something that you would just auto pick unless it's against Ancient of War, and it's going to go down a lot because you've lost 1 card draw from it. It's still going to be a good card, just not going to be an amazing card. Will definitely be above average still. So if you're being offered an epic card and it comes up, you're still going to take it, but you're going to be sad because it used to be a card that can just like win you games that go on for a long time. It would have been perfect in this meta, and it's been nerfed. Next, Force of Nature. This card actually did not get nerfed. It got buffed as far as the arena goes. So it used to be 6 damage that you can kind of piece together however you want, or you can happen to take it with Savage Roar and create a ridiculous combo, but for the most part, Force of Nature was kind of removal. Now it's becoming like a different way to split off a Silverhand Knight. Is it going to be as good as a Silverhand Knight? No. I'm not even sure if it really is going to be better than the existing Force of Nature right now, but it'll be around there. So it wasn't really nerfed. It was just changed. And it was changed in a way where, at least in the arena, like on its face, the value is very similar to where it was before. So, okay, it wasn't really buffed, but it was definitely not a nerf either, which is good. But those are 2 epics. The one that's going to matter here is Keeper of the Grove, which used to be one of the best Druid rares. You're still going to pick the Keeper of the Grove, because, like, think about Stormpike Commando, right? Like, Keeper of the Grove now is a 2-2 for 2 damage. Stormpike Commando is a 4-2 for 2 damage, but it costs 1 more mana. 1 more mana plus 2 attack on a body with only 2 health? You probably don't even want that. Like, it's gonna, and that's not even before we count the flexibility where it could also silence. Like, it's gonna be better than a Stormpike Commando, and you still pick Stormpike Commandos because that's an above average card, or very slightly above average card. So this nerf is going to hurt, but you're still gonna see it. So Druid is not starting out from a very good point, right? Like, meta goes against it, nerfs go against it, it's losing good AoE cards. Well, let's see what it gets. First important card for the Druid, just like the Warrior, Dark Arakoa, which is a Cthulhu card and is not in the meta. Therefore, the following 2 cards are going to be offered at plus 100% offering rate each, which means it will be offered literally double. And literally double what a normal class card is means that you will see this offered to you 4 times as often as a Yeti. 4 times. That's how it works. So, what amazing cards are in store for the Druid? Druid common number 1, Feral Rage. Give your hero plus 4 attack this turn, also known as something the Warrior gets for 2 mana, or gain 8 armor, also known as Healing Touch, but you can't even target a minion, you can only target your own face. And so this card sucks. Okay, moving on. It doesn't suck that bad. It's still 3 mana for 4 damage. It's alright, I guess. It's not what you want. You'll take a 2-drop over it, but it's not like an unplayable card. What it does do is interesting for the Druid, which means that because this is kind of a playable card, even though it's not above average, it's like below average, you'll still see it sometimes, which means Druids can now flexibly heal itself if it gets in danger, right? Like if one out of every, and remember this card's offered all the freaking time, so sometimes you'll see it, like that's a bad thing overall, right? Because it's a crappy card. But sometimes you'll be forced to take it because you'll be offered 2 other crappier cards. So it means when you're facing the Druid now, like stepping away from being the Druid and going to trying to defeat the Druid, you kind of have to really expect them to be able to heal up now. Whereas before it was kind of like, oh, it's Druid, they can't really heal. We're bringing that back. That's what Feral Rage is here for the arena. It's not here to be a good card. It's here to be an annoying card for facing the Druid, which I find fine. Like, Druid was always able to heal. It just didn't get cards that kind of back that up enough. And this is, of course, a fairly inefficient kind of healing anyway, and it's not a good card. So it really fits the Druid theme of, yeah, you can heal, but no, you don't really want to. Even something like Bite, right? Technically, it heals for 4 if you wanted to, but you don't want to do that. Okay, the other card, fortunately, is a little bit better. It's Mark of Yasara. Mark of Yasaraj. Okay, Mark of Yogi. Give a minion +2/+2, which is okay for 2 mana. It's not going to be better than a 2-drop, but if it's a beast, draw a card. And Druid has already been getting so many beast synergies that you really want to pick a good beast synergies, that you really want to pick beast if you're a Druid. So you're already doing that, and now if it's a beast and it stays on the board, you get +2/+2, draw a card. This becomes an insanely good card. It's even a good card if you just wait for a beast and play it on the same turn. Right? You like drop a tiger, play a Mark of Yasaraj. Drop a raptor, play a Mark of Yasaraj, and then you draw a card from that. So this is a very good card. It's not broken good or anything like that because it's still a combo card to get like the efficient use out of it. But even if you don't get the combo, it's fine. And if you're willing to hold on to it for a while, it'll at least cycle while giving you the initiative. While giving you the size for 2 mana that fits the normal tempo gain that you would get with 2 mana. So it's a very good card. But again, it's not like a premium card by any stretch of the imagination. It's just a very good card. It's like a Raven Idol, right? Like it replaces that spot, and that's fine. But again, with Feral Rage being offered so much, you kind of want the other one to balance it out a little and be an actual really good card, and it's just not. So maybe we'll get some help with the rares. You'll certainly see the possibility because one of the rare cards is another Cthulhu card, Claxi Amber Weaver. Claxi Amber Weaver is a Cthulhu card, which means the other 2 rares are going to be offered as much as your other class common cards, even though these cards are rare. So they'll be offered as much as Swipe, they'll be offered as much as Druid of the Claw. First one, Mire Keeper. 4 mana, 3/3, choose 1, summon a 2/2 slime, or gain an empty mana crystal. Summoning the 2/2 slime, we've talked about this back when this card was first revealed, is not really that good. It's like a Silverhand Knight, but for 1 mana less, but you only get a 3/3 instead of a 4/4, which kind of makes a big difference. And if you look at how it trades, it vaguely trades evenly with most 3-drops. It trades up kind of with some 3-drops, but it's a 4-drop, right? Just trade up with all 3-drops. And it trades evenly with every single 4-drop, and it trades down with every single 5-drop, essentially. Unless you happen to have unless it's a 5/5. Like, it trades down with like 5/6s, it trades down with like 4/6s. Your typical 5-drops, it'll trade down with. So, it's kind of just in a bad spot. You play it in the late game, it gets decent enough tempo. Like, the good part about Silverhand Knight is the 4/4 body can actually eat something and stay alive. It's much less guaranteed with the Mire Keeper. But you do get a chance to gain an empty mana crystal if you want to ramp. So it does, again, it makes the Druid flexible, right? It gives us some options like Feral Rage. Feral Rage is not that good, but now you got to anticipate the Druid will gain some armor. Mire Keeper, not that good, but now there's a more chance that your Druid's going to ramp a bit, which is nice, right? These are good flavor cards. They're not good cards. Mire Keeper is going to be above average. It's going to be maybe even good, but it's not, like, you take a Yeti over it any day. Hey, this is Future ADWCTA coming in. Made a mistake last time. I read Addled Grizzly, this card that we're going to talk about now, as saying after you summon a minion, give it, as in the Addled Grizzly, +1/+1. So I did the whole review as if it was like a weird version of a questing adventure. It's not. It's giving the minion you summon +1/+1, which is awful compared to giving the Adult Grizzly +1/+1, because you want to like grow a minion and make it bigger. And this way you can't even, like, even if you have something like Acolyte of Pain or something that you want it to grow, it only gets +1/+1, and you have to like just make more minions do it. And this Adult Grizzly, which has a really nice ability, is going to remain at 2 health, and it's going to die. So this is a pretty bad card. So Forbidden Ancient is the first epic card, and it's really good. I'm going to say the same thing for every Forbidden card. The flexibility is just, it's unmatched, right? Anytime you need a drop, here you go. Forbidden Ancient's a drop. Anytime you want to play like a 3-drop or a removal for 3 mana, and you have like 4 mana left over, you get 4 mana's worth of stuff. Forbidden Ancient's a 4 mana 4/4, 3 mana 3/3, whatever you want it to be, right? If you reach the late game, it is a 10 mana 10/10, like insanely good. Too bad it's an epic. Too bad you won't see it all that often. And too bad the other card is not a Cthulhu card, because this is a card you definitely actually want to see a lot more often. The other epic card is Wisps of the Old Gods, which is every fin is awesome, amazing, awesome. Basically, it gives all of your minions +2/+2. And that one's also 7 mana cost, unless you actually have Murlocs on the board. So it's definitely playable. It's below average, but it is a playable card. And this has an alternate, which gives you 7/1/1 Wisps. Okay, 5 mana for 5/1/1s, not good. 7 mana for 7/1/1s, even worse. Especially because if you have any minion on the board, you're not even going to get all 7 Wisps. Like, it's just a horrible, horrible option. But I guess if you're off the board, it means it's not a totally dead card, which could be good. And if you get 7 Wisps, chances are your opponent isn't going to be able to remove all of it. So if you're like kind of on the aggressive side and you've lost your aggro-ness and then you play this card, it's still fine because you can maybe sneak in a couple damage before your opponent fully clears your board. And if you get this card earlier on the board, right, you're not even screwed. You'll just give all your minions +2/+2, and it's even better. So that flexibility matters more than you might think, because it all fits the same type of playstyle, which is the playstyle in which you will lose your entire board at some point. But in the meantime, if you have your board, you want to be able to buff it. So, you know, this card could be an average card, but it's just nothing to write home about. And now we're at the end of the Druid analysis. It's just not very exciting, right? And so for the Druid, we ended up giving it a score of 3. You haven't gotten even in your kind of card quality with what the Druid was before. And on top of that, you have gotten nerfed. And on top of that, you're entering a meta which is slower. And that is definitely not to the Druid's advantage. Druid used to be like the class with the big things that taunt, but they haven't really gotten any cards since Classic about it. So to the extent that they have that reputation, they don't deserve it anymore. There are so many classes now with just bigger stuff than the Druid. Like Starfire is a big thing, Ironbark is a big thing, Druid of the Claw is a big thing, and that's it. It is a class with 3 big cards. Every class is more than that now, almost, right? Like, you take aside places like, I think Hunter may be the only class that doesn't have as much card advantage cards as Druid does in the common slots. So Druid is actually a very kind of flexible, nimble, early game, tokeny kind of class now, rather than a late game value class. You can still get late game value if you get certain of their like rare and epic cards, but for the most part, that's not the direction Druid's been going, and so they're not really fitting in very well with the meta. On the bright side, as everybody like is a little less good with their curve, Druids have always had an insanely good curve, and so Druids will still be fine. And in the previous metas, Druids were kind of over-curved, like it was a little too easy to get your curve, that you just end up with like random 2-drops and 3-drops you don't need. And now, as everybody gets less curve cards by a little, you're still curving out fine, and that becomes an advantage. And so Druid is a very stable class, but overall its power has definitely decreased since LOE. And we rated it as a clear number 4 before. Now, like I said before in the Warrior video, maybe Warrior's going to surpass it. If it falls even more than I think, maybe even Warlock can surpass it. Or if Shaman gets way better than I think it gets, maybe Shaman can surpass Druid. Like, Druid could really fall a lot in this meta with these cards. These are very underwhelming cards as a set, except for Forbidden Ancient, but that's an epic. So that's it for me. This is the Druid analysis. We are going to do something really exciting after this, which is Priest. And Priest is really, really exciting because out of all of the classes, it probably has the most to gain from the way this meta is going. And Blizzard really balanced it with crap cards. So it's going to be interesting what's happening with Priest. And we'll talk about that next. Patrons are here. Thanks for feeding the goat, guys, and we will see you in the next video.